Mrs. Lee Rice. Might as well. I'm walking through a ghost town, y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong, don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine, no matter how it is that you are hanging out and joining us here this morning, whether you're watching on YouTube or you are hanging out over on Roku TV or you are hanging out in the TikTok audience right now. The one thing that is for sure is that we appreciate you being here. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, happy Monday, sir.
Happy Monday, partner, and happy Monday, everybody out there that's joining us this morning. We appreciate you.
Mo, I wanted to start with this, and with the Olympics just wrapping up, I did not think that we were going to start off this morning. Well, I'm not going to speak for you, Mo. Maybe you won't bash an Olympian. I'm going to bash an Olympian this morning. I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Noah Lyles. Mr. Noah Lyles decided, last year that NBA champions shouldn't be called world champions because that's offensive, because they just compete against people in the U.S. and not on a world stage. And then, those comments were brought back up last week and they resurfaced once again, and Devin Booker has some issue with those. But it just doesn't stop with Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles had another quote. Apparently last year, Noah Lyles, who has a deal with Adidas, he was invited to a shoe event that represented Anthony Edwards by Adidas. Adidas reached out to Noah as one of their premier athletes and said, hey, we would love to have you at this event that we're putting on for Anthony Edwards because we are unveiling Anthony Edwards' new shoe. And Noah said, quote, you want to invite me to an event for a man that has not even been to an NBA finals and you're giving him a shoe? No disrespect. The man is an amazing athlete. I love that they saw the insight to give him a shoe. All I'm asking is, how could you not see that for me? I'm sorry, Mo. How many 12-year-olds out there do you know that want to wear the same shoes that Olympic runners wear? I'm guessing there's not many. Unless they run track and field themselves.
Unless they run track, right.
But even then, Mo, I bet you they don't want, I bet you they want other shoes, not the shoes that the runners are wearing for track and field outside of track and field things. I bet you all those young kids who are running track and fields, they're wearing Kobe's and LeBron's and Jordan's. I bet you they are.
Well, they're definitely not wearing the track and field shoes to walk around in. You know what I mean? Like let's keep it a buck. If you're in school, in your high school or junior high, whatever it is, you absolutely are wearing LeBron's or Kobe's or Jordan's or some other much more recognized, I would say, name to go with the brand. And let's not forget that the thing about Noah Lyles that's kind of funny is he's talking about, why would I come to a party for a guy that's not winning NBA finals? And dude, here's the thing. We support our country. We all do, especially during the Olympics, right? We want our teams, our athletes to shine and do well. And they did. They did once again this past Olympics. But nobody cares about track and field leading up to the Olympics until the Olympics. We don't care. We don't. We just don't we really don't. people who are really into track and field who may or who may have a child or a friend or whatever, some kind of connection, they might be into it. But in general, we're not into it. In today's sports, Chris, we talk about the NFL, even when the NFL season is long past, they're constantly in our mind. We talk about the NBA and the NBA offseason. The NBA is almost 24/7, 365, even though games aren't being played. Anthony Edwards is 10 times a more recognizable athlete than Noah Lyles. It's just a fact. He's a bigger star than Noah Lyles. So I don't understand Noah Lyles' point of view and how he's so separated from reality. Like, I get it, dude. You just won the 100-meter, and you know what? Salute to you. And I believe he was on the team that also won gold. And I want to say it's the 4x100 meters. So look, he had a great Olympics, represented the country well, but I just think his obsession with saying or trying to devalue what NBA players or any other athlete does in their sport is kind of silly because, like you said, we just don't have that same level of admiration or appreciation. And maybe we should for our Olympic athletes, but we do. You know when we do it? When the Olympics roll around. That's when we do it. But other than that, like the next Olympics, 2028 in Los Angeles, Chris, are we going to be like, man, what is Noah Lyles doing in 25 and then 26 and 20? The only time we're going to be talking about Noah Lyles or any other track and field athlete more than likely in 2028, and hopefully I'm wrong, is when if they do something wrong, right? Then you bring it up. So I don't understand the comparison because it's not a very good comparison to worry about if Anthony Edwards won a championship or not. Anthony Edwards is still a young man who's nowhere near the prime or in the middle of his career. Noah Lyles has been running and being in track and field for nearly a decade or more. A great athlete, but on the streets, I don't think you could recognize him. I don't think he's that recognizable. I may be wrong. I don't think you could recognize him out of a lineup. I really don't. So I don't know what his obsession or trying to make these weird comparisons. But it's kind of funny because to me in the Olympics, just celebrate your country, celebrate your fellow athletes. Why use up all that energy, that negative energy, talking about, well, I don't know about going to a shoe deal, or why couldn't they see that? They couldn't see it in you, Noah, for the reasons you said, Chris. Nobody's wearing the Noah Lyles. They're not. If he gets a signature shoe, the only ones wearing Noah Lyles, Noah Lyles. All right. It's not like other track athletes are going to go, I guess some of those Noah Lyles. That's not going to happen. Let's stay in reality.
No, it's almost like he wishes he played a different sport. Like every time he talks, I feel like he just wishes that he was an NBA player or he was an NFL player, or someone down in the comments said, what is he wearing off the track? Because we know he's not wearing Noah Lyles. Is he wearing Jordans? What is he wearing off the track?
He probably gets some Devin Bookers.
Right. But it just almost feels like he wishes he played a different sport, or he at least wishes that his sport got the same attention as the NBA and the NFL. And to some degree, I would even argue Major League Baseball and hockey, because at least with those, every sport that I just said, there's even NASCAR, there is a point during the year that people are talking about that sport. Now, for some sports, like you said, NFL, NBA, it spreads the entire calendar year. For Major League Baseball and hockey, for Major League Baseball, it's opening day, and then it's the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game, and then it's the playoffs. For the NHL, again, opening day, sometimes during their All-Star festivities, and then maybe a little bit of playoffs, but more the Stanley Cup that's a little more towards hockey. NASCAR, Daytona 500 is still a huge spectator sport. That always gets a lot of media coverage. And you're right. Track and field outside of the Olympics, every 4 years, it's a footnote. It's a footnote. So if Noah or anyone else is doing something on the world stage and they're gearing up for the Olympics, yeah, it's a footnote in the USA Today. It's a footnote, on the ESPN track and field page. It's not on the main page. And I think a lot of what his issue is he thinks or he feels or he believes that he deserves more respect because he is a world-class athlete, not taking that away from him.
No question.
He is a tremendous athlete, and he has been tremendously successful in what he does. But Mo, could you not say that the best accountant for Coca-Cola, which is the biggest brand in the world, wouldn't you say that if you are viewed as the best accountant for Coca-Cola, that's a pretty big deal, but ain't no one know your name? No one outside of Coca-Cola knows your name, even though you are working for the #1 brand in the world and you are being told by your employer you are the best at what you do for us. It don't mean the rest of the world knows who you are.
Right.
Sometimes that's just the way it works. Sometimes you can be the best at what you do and you are not the most popular and you are not the most well known and your name is not making all the water cooler conversations. And I think Noah resents that. I think he feels that as an Olympic athlete and a gold medalist and someone that is at the top of his sport, being track and field, that he deserves its attention, especially during Olympic time. And let's be honest, Mo, you said it. When we gear up for the Summer Olympics, generally speaking, as Americans, what are the two things we're talking about? Gymnastics and swimming. That's really it. I mean, and swimming has only become a more recent thing with Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky. You look back 20 years ago, I don't even know if swimming was a big thing on our radar, but women's, and it's not all gymnastics, Mo. It's women's gymnastics.
Correct.
The men don't get the same love from us that the women do. You don't see the Americans coming together and showing the men all that love when they're doing the same stuff the women are doing. No, it's forever. It's women's gymnastics. You can say that a lot of this started back in 1996 in Atlanta with Team USA back then. Carrie Strug, Dominique Musciano, Dominique Dawes. I remember all of them. I remember them, and I was 10. I was 9. I was 9 years old during that Olympics, Mo, and I can still name 3/4 of that U.S. Olympics team because that's the impression that it left on me. That's how we view women's gymnastics here in the U.S. We don't view track and field the same way.
We don't. And the funny thing is, I think the biggest event for track and field still holds is the men's and women's 100 meter, right? The sprint, to say who's the fastest person in the world. And track and field at a time, there was a time, Chris, and I think you noticed when track and field was the biggest event for Americans, right? It was the biggest deal. But I do think that 96 Olympic team, and maybe Mary Lou Retton before them, right? Maybe somebody like her, because she brought people in. People beloved her. But yeah, it's funny because you mentioned that. Come to think of it, I watched a lot of gymnastics during the Olympics. I don't even remember did we have a team this year? Because they never showed them on TV. Like they didn't get on TV. Because shout out to everybody who watched the men's Olympic gymnastics team. And by the way, Mo, they won I don't know what they even won, if they won anything.
I couldn't tell you either. I have no idea. They didn't show them. I don't recall seeing them.
And I don't think that was unintentional. So I'll leave it at that.
And also, and you know what? I think part of this is also the Usain Bolt factor. He did it. Man. He crossed over into the national narrative in track and field. Noah Lyles hasn't. And I bet you that rubs him the wrong way too. But outside of Usain Bolt, what last 30 years, you'd be hard pressed, Mo. You would be hard pressed to name 2 or 3 more. Now, if you watch the Olympics and you pay attention to U.S. Olympians, sure, you could probably come up with a couple. But on the national stage, outside of Bolt, you're not going to get many. And it's a hard sell. It's a hard crossover to take track and field and make millions and millions and billions of people care about it. So again, he's an amazing athlete. He's a world-class athlete. He is absolutely amazing at what he does. He's just in the wrong sport if he wants all the fame and attention that, one good player or one up-and-coming player or one great player on one NBA team is going to get, because you're just not going to get it.
You bring up a great point. I was just thinking, like, we're talking about how he sees the NBA or NBA stars versus himself, and I was thinking there's some more recognizable guys that come off the bench than he is as a star in track and field. That's kind of crazy. Like, Drew Holiday is not the biggest name, far from it, in the NBA, but he's more recognizable than Noah Lyles. That's just a fact. Jason Tatum sat on the bench for the most part for Team USA, and he's much more recognizable than Noah Lyles. Like, I look, I'm not killing track and field. I'm a big supporter, always have, especially when the Olympics come around. But if you ask me, Mo, during track and field season, do you know the top 5 runners in the 4x100 or the 4x400? I don't. I know some bigger names like Cindy McLaughlin. I'm tearing the name up. I think it's Lavini or something like that. She's amazing. She's amazing. Alex and Felix, who I know didn't compete this Olympics, but she's another great one. Well, look, there's no shortage of great athletes on our Olympic track and field team, but I don't think they have the same recognition. Obviously, not just versus the NBA versus MLB, certainly versus the NFL, because the NFL remains king. It's an event. The Olympics is an event, and track and field through the other side of the Olympics, it doesn't draw people in the way the Olympics do. It just doesn't. You're sitting there, this is us against other nations. It's on a bigger stage. It matters more than it does during, I guess, regular track and field season. People just don't gravitate towards that unless, Chris, specifically, you have skin in that game, that particular game. Track and field just doesn't radiate that well beyond the Olympics. It just doesn't.
Let's get JG in here, Mo. We got some Major League Baseball things to discuss, which means we go to the man himself. JG joining us this morning, rocking. What has he got there? Coastal Bend baseball. Look at that, JG,
okay,
repping
JG.
the team colors. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing good. I know it's been a while since I've seen you guys. I've been in the process of moving. I am officially down in Beeville, Texas. Nobody's ever heard of the little town, but I'm down here. I finally get the chance to be back with you guys, so I'm happy.
Happy to have you here, JG. Let's talk a few baseball things. We got some things from last week. We got some things from this week to discuss. Let's start with this. Mike Trout. Obviously, news came out last week. He has a knee injury. He is going to miss the rest of this season. JG, looking back, I believe, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think, 3 of the last 4 seasons, he hasn't even played 85 games. Absolutely riddled by injuries. What is happening, or what is going to happen going forward with Mike Trout? I believe he's 31, 32 years old. Obviously, he's got that big deal out there with the Angels, but we're getting to a point where he can't stay healthy. And not only can he not stay healthy, but he's not playing games. It's one thing if he has nagging injuries and he's playing through the injuries and he's still being semi-productive, but he could be better if he was healthy. But he's not even playing games at this point, JG. Is this a situation where we're going to look at Mike Trout and he's going to wrap things up at 33, 34 years old, and we're just going to be like, man, like if injuries didn't rob him of literally years of his career, he could have played till he was almost 40 and he would have had all the records. But instead, he's a guy that just had a handful of good seasons and a lot of potential that was just never fulfilled.
Well, I'll throw another stat at you that I saw over the weekend. In the last 4 years, he has played 42 second-half ball games. Second half of this season, he's only played 42. 2 of the 4 seasons, he's played 0, including what will be this season, where he's out with a second torn meniscus. Mike Trout is this generation's Ken Griffey Jr. Griffey, as he got to the point in the second half of his career, he couldn't stay healthy. He had the knee injury. He had quite a bit of hamstring injuries. He had a back injury. It just kind of snowballed, and there was a lot of what ifs around Griffey. And again, I grew up watching Griffey. I was a huge Ken Griffey Jr. fan. And there's always that what if he stayed healthy for the 5-6 years that he missed, where would we talk about Griffey on the greatest of all time? And that's the part, is he's still part of that greatest of all time conversation. That's the funny part. Mike Trout is really in that same category as Griffey, that we sit back and go, we were watching greatness of Mike Trout being the face of baseball for a very long time as the best baseball player in the world. And the injuries have now derailed that, where others have caught up to him, and we now forget. I really believe we've forgotten how great Mike Trout is/was because of what he's dealt with injuries every season so far. And that's what's going to be the legacy. I think that's going to be the legacy. It's going to be the what if question. Is that damn what if question that will follow him, because we have yet to really see now in the second half of his career, as he said, he's in his 30s now. And that's a great question. Is he going to continue to want to do this in his 30s, where he's just getting beaten up so much with a knee injury and the wrist injury, and he had a back injury too at one point? How much longer are we going to really see Mike Trout in a Major League Baseball uniform? I don't know. And I hope there's a way that we can get it. I hope there's a way they can figure out how to keep it. And there's a lot of freak injuries. This thing is not just, he's got kind of like with Griffey, had the hamstring injuries so many times. We're talking about, hit by pitches, breaking his hand, breaking his wrist 2 different times, getting hit by pitches that have caused a lot of the injuries. It's not frequent what he had this year. So that's another part of the factor, the variables that he's dealt with so far. But it's really sad to see, because we were talking about, who's the face of baseball, and Mike Trout was the face of baseball for a while, and we're not getting to that point of fulfilling those expectations. Luckily for Major League Baseball, they have had others be able to step up to be the face. You see that at times. I remember when all of us know, and when Jordan retired the second time Chicago, there was a period of point, well, who's the new face? Until Kobe did step up and be the face. And then you had a LeBron in 2003 when he got into the league, and we had multiple people fighting for the face. Major League Baseball has multiple people to be the face of baseball now at this point, and that's what's luckily for the sport. But it's sad to see one of the great potential careers be derailed like it has been so far this generation with Mike Trout.
JG, I got one of those baseball purist questions for you.
I love those questions from you.
I know you do, but I'm going to throw a wrench in it because I'm going to involve the Yankees. So it's a baseball purist question.
What's happening in the morning?
The New York Yankees. Last week, Aaron Judge was walked with nobody on and 2 outs against the Toronto Blue Jays. He homered earlier in the game. It was a game that the Yankees were already winning. So it wasn't a situation where they were trying to avoid him tying the game with a solo shot or anything like that. They just didn't want to pitch to him anymore because he hit a couple of shots against them in that series. JG, any issue with that? Losing the game, 2 outs, no one on, and you're just like, no, we're done. We're not pitching to him anymore. Or is that one of those things where as a competitor, you're like, what are we doing? Because that's how I looked at it. I could understand, and I'll even take the Yankees out of it. If you're up by 1 and you really think you can't pitch to the guy and you think he's going to homer off for you, you clearly have no faith in your pitcher on the mound. That's a different conversation. But if you really feel that way, I get it. You got to walk him. Man, you're crapping on your pitcher, but it is what it is. But when you're up in the game and you walk him, I don't know, JG. I thought that was weird.
I look, trying to make sure I can put the words together for it. I don't have a problem with that, because one, and you'll know this, you'll agree with this. Besides Soto, with Judge and Soto, is there anybody I'm afraid of in the Yankee lineup?
No, not really.
Okay, so why would I risk a run? Because that's what Judge does. Judge is one of at this point, we're seeing. I know he had a little bit of a down year with the injuries last year, but 2 of the 3 years, we're talking about Aaron Judge as the best hitter, or the best power hitter for sure in the game. So why even put a chance to risk giving up a run, even if it's nobody on base? And then if you put him on, and the rest of the lineup of the Yankees is not that dangerous, okay, I'll take my chance. I don't have Randy Johnson on the mound. I don't have Greg Maddux on the mound, Pedro Martinez on the mound. I don't have those guys to face. If I have those guys, the great pitchers of the '90s. Sure, absolutely. Clayton Kershaw. If I had Kershaw on the mound right now, if I had Garrett Cole facing Aaron Judge, sure, absolutely, I'd go pitch him because I put it saying that way. But if I don't have those guys, and it's not crapping on your pitching staff for Toronto, it's tipping your hat to the best power hitter of the game. That's what you're doing. You're showing respect to the best power hitter in baseball right now. And I don't want him scoring a run because that's what he will do. I'll take my chance. If there's somebody in that lineup, Anthony Volpe or DJ LeMahieu or Gleyber Torres, if they can put a ball over the fence or they can drive in a run, you know what? Okay, it bit me in the ass. But other than that, I'm not risking a chance to give up a run, regardless of what the score is. I'll walk them and I'll say, all right, Bronx Bombers, you do your job now. Let's see what you guys can do. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem that you show respect to the best power hitters. We saw that with Bonds. How many times do we see Bonds get walked just because they didn't want to? They didn't want to risk. That's a momentum thing too, especially with your best power hitter, the best hitter that rejuvenates your lineup. He puts a ball in the over the fence. Your lineup, everybody in the team right down there is saying, hey, you know what? We got something now. We got to feel because our captain just gave us a run. Now we have some momentum and we have some confidence to go do it. So you eliminate that aspect and say, you guys got to do your job. If you can't do your job, I'm going to win.
I will say this, the third bopper on the New York Yankees right now is Mr. Jazz Chisholm. That guy's got like 7 home runs in 2 weeks as a Yankee. Man, what a change of scenery does for someone, JG. Let me tell you, he gets on a team that's competitive. He's turned into a home run hitter. It also helps being a left-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium. That short porch helps anybody from that side of the plate.
Well, when you play in a slow pitch softball stadium, of course it's going to help.
Hey. Okay. You want to talk about stadiums? Let's talk about this. The Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds are going to play a baseball game in 2025 at Bristol Motor Speedway. The renderings of what this baseball game is going to look like are already all over the internet. JG, I looked at it, and initially I said, that's pretty cool. And then I looked at it again, and I thought to myself, man, if they fill that place, which they might do from a marketing stance. They might fill Bristol Motor Speedway up, which, by the way, NASCAR can't do anymore. But what a nod of the cap it would be to Major League Baseball if they did that. But aside from being a part of something really cool, because it is really cool, and aside from being a Reds or a Braves fan or just a baseball fan in general, I'm looking at some of those seating renderings. JG, if you're up there, you are nowhere near what is happening on that field, because that field is being built in the infield, and there's a lot. Bristol holds a lot of people, so if they fill that thing up, there are a lot of people that are like watching the game from like the building just outside the stadium. From like that's almost what I'm looking like. They're not close to the action, JG.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this works out. I think Bristol Motor Speedway holds over 100,000 people. I think if they max, it's like 130. And I could be off on the number. I don't think they're going to fill it up to that level, but I think you'll get 80,000 people. Because again, the Braves are a big national brand. Mm-hmm. They're not the Yankees and Dodgers. I'm going to make sure I make that very clear. They're not the Red Sox, but they're probably the top 5 national brand in baseball. And you put them in the South along with the Cincinnati Reds, who has a strong following in that Midwest Southern area with Kentucky, Tennessee. You're going to probably get close to 80 to 85,000, maybe 90,000 people in that stadium or in that structure to be able to watch this game. And you're right, it's going to be very interesting. You'll get people to go just because of the aspect of it's in a NASCAR stadium. Right. There was pictures of ball game years and years ago in the Coliseum in LA, and that was a very weird aspect of how that stadium was. But they sold out the stadium because it looked cool to see. It was something completely different. So you'll get, I think they'll easily get 80,000 people to come watch that game, close to maybe 90,000, just because it's of how different it's going to be. It's in the South. You have two teams who have good Southern following. a national brand in the Braves, you're going to get close to 80,000 people. I think it's just more of the interesting aspect of this game being played in a NASCAR stadium is going to drive the people to want to come watch it.
JG, last thing before we get you out of here. The Diamondbacks and the Padres, they are tied right now. They are 66 and 53. They are both 13 games over 500, and they are both 3.5 games behind the Dodgers in the National League West, which I am very surprised to be saying at this point in the season. They are well in the thick of things in the wild card. I believe they are both in the wild card if the playoffs were to start today. So talk to me a little bit about these two teams, because these were teams that, and rightfully so, the way they were playing earlier in the season, they did not look like playoff rosters. It looked like the Dodgers were going to run away with this division, which, by the way, when they get healthy, they might still do that. But looking at these two teams and how they have kind of rounded back to us and definitely caught back up to the wild card side in the National League, who or which of these two teams has the best chance to make the playoffs and push the Dodgers, or do you see them both going to the playoffs?
Well, what was allowed both those teams is their pitching staffs, one, have gotten better and gotten healthy. Arizona's has gotten healthy because remember that for a long time, Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery were not healthy at the beginning part of the year. And those were two signings they did that were very important to their to the rotation to kind of give some help to Zach Gallen and Brandon Pfaadt as well. So you throw in those two for the Diamondbacks with an offense that is kind of starting to hit its stride, kind of what we saw last year in the second half, where they got hot and made their run into the postseason. They've kind of gotten that again with the pitching staff that has really bared down and have done a much better job so far to give their offense life. The Padres, very much the same way. You're riding Dylan Cease, who has been absolutely outstanding. So far last month with I think with a no-hitter he's thrown. You have Musgrove and has pitched really much better, and their offense has been playing really well as well. With I know Profar got banged up a little bit, but he's been a huge resurgence for that lineup that has lost quite a bit. This past year with Soto leaving, and he's not Juan Soto, but he's putting up numbers that kind of have taken away the loss of Soto from that team. So there's been a lot of factors that have helped both those teams to get back into the race, not just the wild card race and being being the top of the race of the wild card, but they're pushing the Dodgers. With the Dodgers not being healthy completely has really helped them too. Now that we know they're going to get healthy with Mookie Betts coming back, but the Dodgers are still susceptible because of their pitching staff is not healthy. They have had a lot of injury hits to their team in that rotation and bullpen that's kind of hindered them a little bit throughout the middle part of the season. It's going to be very intriguing. Is those two teams are they going to continue to push the Dodgers even more so? Now the Dodgers are hitting their stride better. They're winning games again. They were beating up on the Phillies, and they beat up on the Pirates this past week too. But it's going to be it's going to be a 3-team race. I really think we're going to see through August and into September that NL West will be a 3-team race. It's going to be very close. Who's going to come up with that? I still think the Dodgers being better are going to end up winning that division, but I do think the Padres and Diamondbacks both are going to make it in the wild card just because how well they've played so far, and they're getting healthy. Teams that have fallen back, my Braves being one, we're not healthy. Mets are not healthy, or they're just not as talented as those two teams out west. So it's going to be we'll see both Padres and Diamondbacks make the wild card, but they're going to push. They're not seeing wild card as the goal. They're both saying that NL West is very much in play for both of them.
JG, always a pleasure, sir. We will see you next time you're on. All right.
Appreciate you, JG.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Mo, always a pleasure having JG here on the show with us. Let's pivot to this. Mo, if you are a Dallas Cowboy fan this morning, the weekend did nothing for you. No matter what you were feeling going into the weekend, I guarantee you as a Dallas Cowboy fan, you are feeling less than coming out of the weekend. Let's review the weekend if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. So the Dallas Cowboys played their first preseason game against the Rams. Obviously, the result of preseason games mean nothing. So the fact that the Rams came back, game-winning touchdown at the end of the game after their quarterback threw 4 picks throughout the game. It doesn't matter win, lose, or draw in the preseason. I'm sure as a Dallas fan, though, that one stung a little bit. But at the end of the day, that one doesn't matter. The bigger issue, though, Mo, Trey Lance is not a starting quarterback in this league. And I don't care. Chris, he needs more time. He needs to play more this. He needs to do more that. He just needs a full season. Mo, first of all, Dallas has already declined his 5th-year option. From what they've seen since they've acquired him, they have said we're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. Now, they have said that, we hope to have him in the future plans for a long time. That's great. But Mo, actions speak louder than words. And if you thought that he was your future quarterback of this franchise with Dak Prescott in a contract year, I feel like you make a statement, but you didn't. So he isn't the lock. So maybe he still is. Maybe he's still developing. Maybe he's still a project that's going to pan out good for the Dallas Cowboys. But Mo, I watched the majority of that game, and I don't care who is on the other side of the field. I don't care who he is throwing the football to. I'm not watching the fact that he's playing with starters or second or third or fourth string people. I'm not watching that on the other side of the field. Are they starters or are they second or third team? Which, by the way, a lot of the guys that he played against on defense were second and third string players. But Mo, I'm watching him. What is he doing? He had a couple of really great plays. He had a couple of really great rushes. He made a couple of really great plays with his feet. He made a couple of really athletic plays. But I don't care about that, Mo. I care about him throwing the football. Remember, that was the issue. That was the issue in San Francisco. They didn't want him running around all over the place. They wanted him to run Mike Shanahan's offense. And Mike Shanahan's offense is not a run around Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen style offense. It is a stand and deliver, be on time, do what you're supposed to do in the offense, and keep everything moving. I don't know if he can do that, because he struggled to do it in the Dallas game. Mo, accuracy is accuracy. You're either accurate or you're not. And if you're putting the ball in their hands or you're putting the ball in their chest and they're dropping it, that's one thing. But when you're just clear missing open receivers, NFL open receivers also, Mo. NFL open. I'm not talking guys standing there and there's no one around them 3 or 4 yards any direction. Right. I'm talking NFL open. They got a step or a half a step on the defender. You put it out in front of them so they run into the ball. That is NFL open. And he struggles to consistently make those throws. And that was his issue in college. That was his issue with the 49ers. And that appears to still be his issue with the Dallas Cowboys. Mo, I don't feel any better about Trey Lance after seeing him throw the ball 40 plus times this weekend. Do you?
No, I think you nailed it when you pointed out the fact that he can't hit NFL open receivers, because I know the highlight reels will show, well, he made a couple of nice plays with his legs. He extended some plays. Every pass play, he could never just drop back, plant, and throw the football. You can tell it is a rookie thing, or there's some guys who go into year 8 or 9 and they don't get it because they can't throw you open. They don't do anything with timing. They need you to be wide open before they release the football. He holds on to the ball, 1, way too long. 2, he's not trying to throw to his first read, whether it's open or not. He doesn't have the confidence in his arm to try to lead or throw anyone open. So what happens? Almost every play became a broken play, right? Where he kind of scrambled, broke. He couldn't throw anything on time. So if you're one of those people that's of the belief, if we let Dak go, we're good. We've got our guy. He's not your guy. He is the guy that the San Francisco 49ers traded to you after John Lynch wasted horrendous assets to get him. Get him. John Lynch wasted assets to get him, treating him as if he were Caleb Williams. That's what he thought, right? That he was going to be that guy. And he's not that guy. I'm looking at him now. I know it's way early in the young man's career. Honestly, I see Joshua Dobbs. I see Josh Johnson. I see that kind of player. Somebody who's capable of maybe having a long NFL career, but as a journeyman, as a backup. He's just not that guy.
And we're looking at someone, he was drafted in 2021. We're going into the 2024 season. And I don't think he's a deer in headlights, but you watch him back there in the pocket and he doesn't feel the pressure. You see no anticipation. It's the little things, right, Mo? You see other guys drop back and they just naturally take a step or two to the right because they know it's coming from the left. They're trusting that their line's going to give them time to throw the ball, but they know where it's coming from. They are anticipating the rush. They're anticipating the pressure. They're anticipating the push from the defense, and they're just naturally sliding just a little bit because they know that they got to get off their mark just a touch because they know the direction it's coming from, and they're trying to buy themselves that extra second to complete the play. You see him drop back, and you don't see any true anticipation of what's happening. That could just be he just doesn't anticipate well. That could be he's not reading defenses well. That could be that he is just so locked in mentally on the play and what the play is supposed to look like that he's not allowing himself to see the rest of the field, which, by the way, you need to know where the pass rush is coming from, Mo, if you are playing the quarterback position. I still feel like that's where we are with him. If he drops back and it's not a quick slant, if it's not a 1-2 throw or a 1-2-3 release kind of thing, and he has to take 4 or 5 steps back in his drop back and he has to sit there for a minute, he's going to run the ball. He's going to pat it and he's going to look and he's going to take off and try to make a play with his feet. And that doesn't work in the NFL because you know what? You say what you want about Lamar Jackson, but unless it's a designed run or chaos just breaks down, he has gotten to the point in his career now when he drops back, he's looking to pass the football. His first choice is to pass. If it's not there, he uses his athleticism. But he has moved away from the drop back, look, pat the ball, and just take off and see if you can make it happen, which is what he did a lot earlier in his career. He has become a better passer of the football. Trey's not close yet.
He's not. And excellent point. He's going to drop back. He's going to pat the ball. He's already made up his mind he's going to run. That if you watch the game and you watched it, I watched a good portion of it. The best thing he did was he ran the ball. Yeah. He would pat, the receivers would go downfield, they're being their route. There was a couple of times he escaped and he made a couple of good throws, but again, everything off time was his best moment. He doesn't do anything on time. And I'm not killing him saying he's not an NFL quarterback. I'm saying the idea that we've got him back there, so we're going to be okay. No, you have Cooper Rush back there, and you might be okay because he's proven he can play at an NFL level and throw a receiver open, NFL wide open. I love that statement. Trey Lance is not that guy. Look, I really just, and I'm with you. Not a deer in the headlights, but clearly he doesn't have enough confidence in his timing or his arm strength to just run a play. Like you said, if it's not a quick slant, if it's anything complicated that takes more than 4 seconds, he's taking off.
CeeDee Lamb not obviously playing. He is still holding out. CeeDee Lamb has removed the Dallas Cowboys from his social media accounts, which is what you do when you hold out. He has actually put up a college picture as his background with Hollywood Brown, who is currently a receiver out there in Arizona. Interestingly enough, Hollywood Brown has returned the favor, and he has also put up a banner on his social media account of a picture of him and CD from their time playing college football together. Do what you will with that, Mo. But Jerry Jones was asked about the CeeDee Lamb situation and if there was anything that he wanted to say to CeeDee Lamb, and Jerry Jones simply said, "You're missed." Mo, miss me all you want. We know what's going to get Lamb back in the building, and it's the money. If you show him the money, he'll be there tomorrow. It's that simple. Pay him or he's not coming. And now you are seeing him escalate it, dropping the Cowboys from his social media account, indirectly flirting with other teams. Does he want to go team up with Hollywood Brown in Arizona with their quarterback situation? I don't know, but he's putting it on his social media, so people are talking about it. And you see the stories this morning, Mo. What are the best landing spots in a CeeDee Lamb trade? That's where we are. because neither side is budging right now. Now, I still think Dallas finds a way to get this deal done. I don't think they go into week 1 without CeeDee Lamb. But, Mo, I think it's very clear, if you don't pay him, he's not coming back.
No, I think he's dug in. And look, in a perfect world, he'd love to go play with Hollywood Brown. I actually believe Hollywood Brown I think he's on the Chiefs this year. I think he got moved to the Chiefs.
Oh, that's right. He's a Chief,
so,
not a Cardinal.
So, yeah,
well, yes, he definitely wants to play for Hollywood Brown.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get to play with Mahomes and I get paid. Yeah, he's going. He's going. He's dug in. I thought it was laughable when Jerry goes, "You're missed." I'm CeeDee Lamb. Don't miss me. Pay me.
That's right.
It's really that simple.
Mean nothing.
Right.
Money.
If you missed me, you pay me. It's pretty simple, Jerry. I'm not sure why you're dragging your feet, but if this goes into the regular season, you don't want to get off to a disastrous start, especially in your division. Once the regular season starts, because division games, they're gold. They matter that much, particularly in that division, because obviously you have your clear rival with the Eagles. You don't want them to just get up and run away with the division, which I think they're probably going to do anyway. If they don't get CeeDee Lamb into camp soon, and remember, he'll be in shape, Chris, but he won't be in game shape if they keep waiting. So he could get rusty, or that's how guys pull a hamstring, or they end up having one of those seasons where they can't stay healthy throughout because they were so behind in terms of conditioning. So Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, get it together, get this man paid.
The Brandon Ayuk saga continues, but it might be near an end, Mo, because it appears we are down to 2 choices. He is either going to stay a 49er or he is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Those are the reports coming out of the weekend. It is looking like if anyone is going to trade for him, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mo, let's start with this. The Cleveland Browns offered Amari Cooper a 2nd-round draft pick and a 5th-round draft pick. How is Brandon Ayuk not a Cleveland Brown right now?
Because it's on him, right? Because Cleveland said that. I think they made a significant offer to him as well, right? Because that's the key. He's got to get his money. In the end, let's get cut and dry. Brandon Ayuk was like, I don't want to play for Cleveland. And I don't know. I don't think that's a reflection on the city of Cleveland or even the team overall. Maybe that's a reflection on QB1, on Deshaun Watson. But he doesn't want to play in Cleveland. He clearly doesn't want to play in Cleveland. And he absolutely doesn't want to play with the Patriots, who made an offer, and we're going to give him his money.
$32 million a year they were going to give him.
Right. And look, Ayuk, I get it. You don't want to go and catch those medicine balls. But the $42 million, that's your money. That's your money. Look, I am not. Look, I can't see the future, but I can tell you this: the Niners aren't going to pay him $42 million a year. They're not. I don't think the Steelers will either. I think they'll make him a really good offer and a fair offer. And if he's smart and he wants to get paid and be on a team that is in contention, then I guess the Steelers are your best choice. Or you can bet on yourself. You can bet on yourself and play this year, because if you bet on yourself and you try to hold out, I don't think he has the leverage that CeeDee Lamb has.
No.
I don't. If he tries to go that route, ultimately he's going to hurt his value. He just will. And look, without him, will the Niners be different where they won't be quite as dynamic offensively? Maybe, to a degree, no question. He's a big piece of what they do. But I think that just means you would see more plays run for Debo, more plays run for Kittle. Maybe they would highlight C-Mac that much more. And I watched the Niners game the other day, and a couple of their young players, they look pretty good. I'm not saying, are we a lesser team without him? Sure we are. But will the Niners still win 10-plus games without him? Yeah, I still think they'll be a good football team, but you do want that impact. The beauty of it would have been, had they done the deal for Cleveland, Chris, like you pointed out, Amari Cooper is not a drop-off to me. Not a drop-off. He's older, but he's 30. He's not 35. And all Amari Cooper does throughout his career is be very productive. He's just a very productive player. He's not the touchdown getter like Mike Evans is. He's not explosive over the top, but he's a great route runner. He finds open spaces and zones. If we had got him and moved him out, then that would have basically been trading him for a guy who's as good or better than him. As a Niner fan, I would have took that deal in a heartbeat. But again, Ayuk, he's trying to have the perfect the perfect place, Chris. He wants the money, but he also wants to play for a championship contender. Dude, your best bet is Pittsburgh. And I don't think they're a title contender, but I think if they add you with Pickett, it could be interesting if they get good quarterback play from Russ. So I'm of the opinion. Look, I think the Niners try to move him. You and I and the NFL Genius were talking last week. The NFL Genius thinks he's going to get moved before we see him again, and we'll be on with the NFL Genius on Wednesday. Hopefully, hopefully as a fan of the Niners, I hope the NFL Genius is right.
Let's wrap up with this. The men's national basketball team and the women's national basketball team won gold this weekend in Paris. It is the 5th straight gold medal for the men's team. It is the 8th straight gold medal for the women's team. LeBron James was named the MVP of the men's team. Kevin Durant is the first player in men's basketball history, Mo, to win 4 gold medals. And it's one of those things where, again, we talked about this last week. I read it and I was like, okay. I didn't know how to feel about it. I never know how to feel when Kevin Durant does nice things, because I just look at it and I'm like, okay. But I'm always waiting for like the but. Hey, he won 4 gold medals. I'm like, but what? Are we going to like push him down? Are we going to say he didn't deserve it? Are we going to say that he just latched on to one of those teams in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to say about Kevin Durant here? Because we can't just say nice things about him. But they were just saying nice things. The man's won 4 gold medals. That's awesome, Mo. LeBron wins the MVP. And then, because this is what happens with LeBron, Mo, we got to go bigger than the moment.
I know.
We can't just keep it in the moment. We have to have the conversation. The next time we see the men's national basketball team, guys, it's going to be in Los Angeles, 2028. LeBron, 44-year-old LeBron, you going to be a part of that? And LeBron, thankfully, said that he could not see himself, Mo, as playing on Team USA basketball in 2028. But, Mo, I'm not going to close that door.
I wouldn't.
I'm not going to close that door, because that's a story. That's a story right there, Mo. What if the 2028 Olympics are his final hurrah?
Yeah, look. I had a thought. What if he doesn't? What if he's out of the NBA, but he still gets selected for the Olympics? Would he join? Look, barring an injury, he's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And my gut feeling is, I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but at 44, he's going to play pretty damn well too. He's going to play. I don't know if he's going to be the best player, but he's not going to go out there where people go like, oh, this is what I know about LeBron James, because I remember this from the 92 Dream Team. He's not going to go out there and look like his body's broken down and he's just there because of his name, the way Larry Bird was. And I love Larry Bird. He's deserving of every accolade, but that version of Larry Bird, that wasn't Larry Bird. It wasn't. LeBron James, if he ever felt that he was anything close to that, he wouldn't play. But I can't see him not being. I'm not closing that door, Chris, because no one has aged the way he's aged and played at the level he's played and kept his body in the condition he does. My guess is even if he had retired from the NBA in the next couple of years, he's still going to be a freakish athlete by the time the Olympics roll around. And as a fan of basketball, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. It's amazing because KD got the 4 golds and he's the first to achieve that. But what LeBron's done, because I think, and he won the MVP, but I thought deservedly so, he was the best player on the team, Chris. He was. Taking nothing away from the heroics that Steph gave us the last 2 games. Because if Steph doesn't do what he did against France, we're having a different conversation, an embarrassing conversation, nonetheless. But it doesn't happen. The point is, that's why you have Steph, why you have LeBron, why you have KD to bail you out when you're not playing your best basketball. And congratulations to Team USA, men's and women, because the women, their game was even tighter, Chris, was even scarier. Like, what did someone put something in that water? Because France, I mean, a lot has been said about the water in France, but both teams from the home country stepped up and played tremendously competitive games and were right there all along. So shout out to them as well. Look, we're in a different time in basketball, Chris. Team USA can't just walk onto the floor and everybody else shiver and they get the gold. They've got to play hard. They got to compete, because this goes back to the Noah Lyles argument. Some of the greatest players in the entire world play for other countries. Luka, Joker, Giannis, SGA. That's why Noah Lyles, when you win the NBA championship, you are the best in the world, because the best basketball players in the world, hell, the top 5 is comprised of Europeans, period, point blank. So, look, I don't want to get back on Noah Lyles, but just shout out to Team USA. Shout out to LeBron James for being a transcendent player at age 39, getting ready to be age 40. Just an amazing performance.
Well, he's got the 2-year deal with LA. Obviously, he can opt out, I believe, after year 1. Let's say he plays the next 2 years in LA. If he plays a third year, if he goes a third year and then retires, you're looking at a guy that is a year into retirement, gearing up for the Olympics. I think it's a conversation. I don't think he's going to play 4 more years in the NBA. I just don't see that. But if he plays that third year, if you know, they win a title or something, I don't know. If he just comes back for year 3, or he's playing with Bronny and Bronny's playing well, and he just wants to run it back 1 more year in a lesser role kind of deal, I don't think it's a stretch for him to retire from the NBA in 3 years and then say, you know what? I'm going to start training now for the Olympics, and that's the final hurrah. That's we winning 6 in LA on Team USA soil. Like, I don't know, Mo. Like, because it's going to be something, right? Like, doing it in the US, on US soil, in LA, which is the team he would have been playing for almost a decade at that point. Like, I think there's something to it. I think there's a pull there, just like when we were talking about why didn't the Lakers get the head coach they wanted? Because there was a pull going back to college. They were going for 3 in a row. It was a thing. Like, if circumstances were different, if, you know, the Olympics in 2028 weren't in the USA and they were in Australia, does he come back for that? Probably not, because there's no pull there. But the fact that it's on US soil, it's in LA, where he had been playing now for almost a decade, or at a decade, wherever that point is, I don't shut the door, is all I'm saying. Don't shut it.
I'm not. Chris, I'm on board. I think LeBron James, if healthy, and I'm talking about he can avoid any kind of major injury up until that point, he's going to be in amazing shape. Here's the scary part. KD and Steph are younger.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to be playing in 2028 for Team USA, but I do expect LeBron to. And it's not going to shock me at all. He's just a unicorn. Leave it at that.
And don't forget, and he even posted this on his own Twitter account, Halliburton got the A for doing no work in the group project. LeBron can do that too. Team USA can say, LeBron, let's go 1 more. And you can do the Halliburton Tatum, and you can just kind of take it easy. We'll spot you a few minutes here and there, because we know you can still go. Maybe you can't go full games like you did 4 years ago in Paris, but we know you can still go for 7 or 8 minutes out there, and we'll unleash you for 7 or 8 minutes a game and let you do your thing. He can still win a gold, Mo. He can still win gold.
I like that. I like that idea better. Play him 7 or 8 minutes a half. He's going to go give you everything he had. He'll play well. He will win another gold at age 44. And it was interesting because somebody was, I can't remember who the pundit was, but they instantly went to that age-old conversation. They're like, well, you know, he's got 1 more than MJ. He's got a leg up on MJ. It isn't a great accomplishment, and it is a factual statement. He has 1 more than MJ. But I got to tell you, if he gets another one at age 44, nobody's going to be more blown away than me. Nobody. Right. That one this one is impressive, but that one right there, it will blow me away. On a whole nother level, it would blow me, and it wouldn't shock me if for some reason he's still the best player.
Mo, take us to the close, sir.
Thank you guys so much for joining Chris and I this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have on Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Hey, make sure you're back here same time, same place tomorrow. We're going to continue our NFL coverage. JG might be stopping by as well. All of that and